me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack.
Good morning.
I don't care if I never get back. Let me root.
Welcome
root for the whole
to the Catbird Seat as we try to dive into the world of the AL East, primarily Red Sox, Yankees, and Rays. We do this every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Joining us onto the show is Mr. Teamus Wooten. Teamus, how the hell are you, sir?
Licking my wounds from yesterday, but alive and well.
Your screen grab was hilarious. Your video froze for a second. You were like, Angela, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm assuming that was Teamus's exact expression as he's been watching his Red Sox free fall. What the hell? I thought we were in first place.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Before we dive into the baseball, we do want to talk for a second about Bobby Bowden. We know this isn't a college football show, but all of us are affected by that. Angela and I are big Florida State fans. Teamus is a Gator fan. Regardless, we have seen Bobby Bowden's career in front of us, and I'm going to give the stage to Angela. Angela, what say you on the life of Bobby Bowden?
So I was trying to explain to someone yesterday, one of my friends here, what Bobby Bowden meant to Florida State, to not only the football program, but the whole athletics program. And, there's a picture going around on Twitter of what the stadium looked like before Bobby got there. And it was just, a small thing, barely. The stands were barely set up, but, it truly is a program that he built up. The Doak Campbell's definitely a stadium that, you could say that he built. And from the stories that are being released now from former players, former coaches under him, opposing players, opposing coaches, you could truly sense that, Bobby Bowden was a genuine man. He obviously had a lot of faith and it spread on to everyone that knew him. He was big into family, that saying, faith, family, and football. So, all three of those aspects of his life were out there. And I think people are really hurt from this in the college football community. And, I was watching ACC Network earlier today, and you had some of the former players, former coaches on. And all I can say is that the public viewing on, I believe, next Saturday is going to be a spectacle. Only if I lived a little closer, I might think about attending, but it's going to be a great chance to see, who shows up and the vast reach that he had on people's lives and impact.
Any word yet if they're going to televise that on like ACC Network or something?
I have not heard.
Yeah, I haven't either. I would think they would, but I have no idea.
Right.
I would think if nothing else, the ACC Network would get the feed from somebody and put it on their channel. What the hell could be more important than putting that on there on what will be August 17th or whatever the date may be? I guess that's August 15th or 14th. Teamus, what say you?
Well, not a fan of the Seminoles, but that doesn't matter. He was the gold standard. He showed, other coaches, this is how it's done. This is how it's done correctly. He was classy all the time in defeat and victory. He was Florida State. Our guys in our age group, that's all we knew. You thought of Florida State, the first thing that popped in your head was Bobby Bowden, and even long after he retired and everything, I still didn't see a Florida State game or their mascot or anything without that being the first thing that popped into my head. And, Florida's gone through a billion coaches. Florida State's gone through a lot of coaches since Bobby left, but the impact that he made on that university and on thousands and thousands of students, student athletes, and all that. You really can't overstate it. And the world's a darker place. He's no longer in it.
I'm trying to count these up, but I'll do it in a second. So the basic thing that I can tell people who aren't Florida State fans that want to know what the hell Bobby Bowden was about, not only did he build the program, because the Florida State's football program was almost extinct when he showed up. In the last 3 years, they'd won 4 football games when he showed up in 1976. He immediately got them to 5-6. And then what was more impressive than even that was that the following years of Bowden's career was the fact that he went from 5-6 that very first year in 1976 to 10-2 and winning a bowl game in 77, 8-3, 11-1, 10-2. This was all turning around a program that seriously thought about ending the football program in Tallahassee in the 70s because they'd done so poorly. No one was going to games. And it wasn't like it is today where you got the football money, the television money. You made your money off of the tickets and no one was going to games. They were pretty good program, decent program in the 60s. But by the 70s, it all fallen off. Florida was really bad too at the time, and Miami was horrendous. There was a talk at one point of there not even being college football, major college football in the state of Florida in the late 70s or mid 70s. Bowden kind of turned that around. When Bowden did what he did, it kind of put the clamps down for Florida to turn their program around. Miami famously was the first to win the national title for the state of Florida, but that all came from Bowden, and it was basically became an arms race. He also was an innovator. He is the one that basically began the shotgun no huddle offense in college football because it was out of necessity. He had a quarterback that was more apt to playing point guard than he was actual, drop back quarterback in the name of Charlie Ward. And when Ward was put into play, he started doing that. He innovated the fact that he started putting the talent on the defensive side of the ball and not just the offensive side of the ball. That was a game changer in the mid 80s. A lot of people don't realize that, but when Florida State started doing that, Miami followed suit. And that's why the Seminoles and the Hurricanes were so dominant in the 80s and 90s, because it took a while for the other teams to catch up. The speed on the defense was elite. Deion Sanders was one of the first guys that he did that with. But I met him as a small child, and I'll just cap it with this. I was 3-4 years old. I talked a mile a minute to him about who the hell knows what. And what I remember the most about it was he stared me in the eye, listened to me, was fanning off people, okay, that were trying to tug at his. It was at a booster club event here in Jacksonville my dad took me to. He could have easily said, "All right, kid," patted me on the head and walked away. He didn't. He told them to basically shut up. Someone's talking. Who knows what I talked about for like probably a minute or two. And my dad finally said, "All right, boy, it's enough." And shook my hand and said, "I'll see you in 15 years. Go Seminoles," joking. You know what that did to a 4-5-year-old kid? I mean, I was through the roof. That's all I talked about for weeks, And so that was one of my first, positive memories in my childhood was that. And that stuck with me his entire career was the fact that, and what thing was, when I was a little kid, I had a terrible, terrible stuttering problem. I'm sure I was stuttering during that. There's no way in the hell I wasn't. And he still basically told everyone, "Don't interrupt us. I'm talking to a fan," kind of thing, right? Most coaches wouldn't have done that. Most coaches would have been, "Kid, this booster's worth, quite a bit of money. I got to talk to him," right? So that stood out to me his entire career. And I'm sure there's a million stories like that, right? And so that's what stood out with me with Bowden was the person that he was, not just the coach he was. And you always wore that as a badge of honor as a Florida State fan, that was the guy that represented our university. And I won't take jabs at other universities. We know who they are. And there are a lot of coaches out there where fans are like, "I love my team, but damn, this guy's embarrassing," And you never had that issue with Bobby Bowden. And just like to say thank you to him. And we put a little video together on Armchair Quarterbacks with the Ballad of Bobby Bowden. If you never heard that song, make sure to go to the to our YouTube page today and check out the video. Took that song, which was a 45 that my dad brought home when I was a young child. They were trying to steal Bowden from Florida State in the late 70s, and there was a little band that put this little 45 together. Anyways, long story short, me and my sisters, we listened to that as our entire childhood. We'd put the song on because, first of all, it's a very, very catchy song to begin with, and then of course me being a big Florida State fan. All right, we'll go ahead and move on from that. I just felt like we had to do that, something like that. He is Angela, I don't know how I would explain it to someone up in the Northeast on what he meant to us. Because I know college sports is not what it is in the South. The only thing I could remotely give to someone, he'd be like our Joe Torre, but he was so much more, you know?
Right.
It's just, I don't know what Connie Mack was for the Philadelphia Athletic fans, but I assume it's like Connie Mack because he coached there for 50 years. Right. So it's got to be something like that. The only thing I can think of and that will even be close to losing him will be when Bobby Bowden, not Bobby Bowden, Bobby Cox of the Atlanta Braves. He's very much like that, but it's so much different because he built something that we didn't know was even going to exist.
Right.
And coaches turn around baseball all the time. Yeah. So anyways,
he built it and sustained over years. It was there'll never be another.
You know, one thing that a lot of people probably don't even realize, he essentially built the ACC football, because without Bowden, Florida State never comes into the ACC, and I don't know if Clemson is doing what they're doing today, right? So I mean, if you think without Bowden and what he did, the landscape of college football would have been so much different, and it's so less funny because he was a damn riot. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the because I could talk about this all day long, but we'll definitely get more into this when the Dixie Football Nation comes back. Is it September 12th? We're going to try to do one when I'm in Nashville on the 4th. It's just going to be really difficult because I'm going to be in Nashville with a hangover. We're going to try to get we're going to try to do a show that morning, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But Dixie Football Nation will be back on September 12th. All right, let's get into the baseball while everyone comes here. Red Sox, Yankees, and Rays. And oh, what a week it has been, Mr. Teemus. I'll let you lick your wounds first before we get into the meat of everything else. The hell's happening to the Red Sox, man? They've lost 8 of their last 10. The sky's falling. Is it over?
It's not over. No. Look, and a lot of Red Sox fans are wanting Chaim Bloom's head on a spike, and the trade deadline wasn't what we wanted. This is baseball, though. I mean, listen, every team the only time I've in my entire life have seen a team never hit a skid was in 2018 when the Sox didn't lose one series the entire season. But that never happens. You know, the Yankees, to the Yankees' credit, we were talking a couple of weeks ago. I was like, look, the pressure's all on them. They need to catch lightning. They need to get some picks. And, they did that. To the Yankees' credit, they have. They've been winning. We have not. Our skid couldn't come at a worse time because most of these games were in the division. We knew we had a gauntlet, and if we would have broken even, I would have been happy. We have not done that. Our pitching's terrible right now. We're not hitting. COVID, which that's, every team's faced that, so we're not going to use that as a crutch. Here's the thing, though. This is baseball. It happens. Is the season over? Absolutely not. We're going to turn around. It's fine. We got to right the ship. We got Tampa coming up again. That sweep we had that gave us in Tampa a week ago hurt us badly. Losing to Toronto yesterday was the worst loss of the season. You get 14 hits, you're up 7-2, you're supposed to win. That's just it. No matter who you're playing. You're in a division game on a skid, things are going south. But Red Sox fans, relax. It's okay. This is baseball. You know, we've been playing above our potential the entire season. We've been playing with house money this entire season. We came back to earth. The Yankees took off. It's okay. It's a dogfight the rest of the way. It's going to make for great baseball. Is it fun right now to be a Red Sox? No, of course not. But hasn't been fun for Yankee fans the entire first season. But look at it now. You know, we're going to be all right.
All right. So the Yankees begin a 3-game series in Kansas City. Then we'll play the 4th game this week on Thursday in the Field of Dreams game. Then they're going to get Friday off, and then they will head to Chicago to finish that series. So you got 6 games against the Royals and the White Sox. You're on fire. Granted, Rizzo just hit the COVID list, but it seems like everybody's something. Hell, Freddie Freeman came out the other day with upper respiratory, and I was like, are they just getting fancy on what they're calling COVID now? The hell are they talking about upper respiratory? But I guess it wasn't COVID because the guy came out and pinch hit yesterday. But it seems like every team's getting hit with COVID once again. I don't know if it's because these players are just if they're not vaxxed, or if it is the fact that it's never been clear if they're continuing to keep these guys out of action, even though they've been vaxxed, come up positive, but yet have no symptoms. So it looks like that's the case is what's going on. But Angela, what say you about those red hot Yankees, man? They are climbing up the ladder. They're just 2.5 behind the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, no, we talked about heading last Monday, the week ahead, and I said I think 6-1 would be a great week, right? 5-2 is something that is expected if we were to make the playoffs, and ultimately, we went 5-2 during this week. We're within 2.5 games of the wild card, not even just the wild card, but first place in the wild card, where I think we were 5.5 earlier. But you're looking at the teams that were competing against. Oakland, last 10, they're 8-2. Toronto, last 10, 8-2. Tampa, last 10, 8-2. So I think all the teams that are competing, aside from the Red Sox, who are having a skid, are on fire right now. So that makes it a little difficult too. But we're looking good. I think that we just have to get through this week 500. A lot of players on the IL or the COVID list. And then hopefully when we get a couple of the starters back towards the end of this month, I don't know when Garrett Cole's going to come back. I think he's eligible during the White Sox series, but who knows if he's been throwing or not. If he's even had symptoms, I'm not sure. So I wouldn't expect to see him pitch this week. But, and then with Rizzo yesterday, it's going to look like a pretty bleak situation, but it's possible. We just, if we could sweep Kansas City in these next 2 games, that would give us some leeway against the White Sox, who are a very good team. But I mean, yeah, I don't even think that the AL East is out of control right now. 6.5 back, but we have a couple games with Tampa towards the end of the year. Like you said, now Tampa's playing Boston, who some teams are going to drop then. So if we have a successful week, I think we'll close up the gap even more. So
what we essentially have here is, when you look at the Yankees, they're 1 game behind Boston in the loss column. They're 2 games behind Oakland in the loss column, and then there's 6 games behind Tampa Bay for the division. So the division is going to be a much more daunting task, but they can definitely get a wild card.
Right.
And I thought all along, I've said this all year long, that it would be 2 teams from the AL East. Now the A's are starting to concern me that they're going to screw this up, because I really want to see a Yankee Red Sox 1-game play-in showdown. This would definitely, I think it's already going to happen anyways, but this will be the final year that we'll have the 1-game play-in. I believe that's coming to an end anyways, after what they saw, the numbers that they got last year on the 18 or 16 total, but 8 in each conference, 3-game series. I hope they don't go that route. I'm still much more favor of there being at least one bye team. I hope they only go to 6 or 7 per league. I think they'll probably take the football model and go 7. I would prefer 6. I think 7 might be too many in baseball. But what we're looking at down the stretch is, okay, Tampa's in Boston this week, and New York's going to play Kansas City. And then, of course, they're at the Field of Dreams games, which I'm really excited about that game. I don't know about y'all, but Thursday night, they're going to play this game in Iowa in a cornfield. They're going to recreate the Field of Dreams. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. It was originally just supposed to take place last year, but because of COVID, it did not. So that game alone to me is really neat. I find it a little strange that they did it on a Thursday, considering the NFL is starting their preseason in earnest on Thursday night. I really feel like they should have done this on a Wednesday where like the stage was theirs, right? But even still, I think you're going to get a pretty high amount of viewership for that game because people are going to want to see this cornfield. I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. I saw drawings of it like 2 years ago, so I don't really remember it, but I think the outfield's going to be a cornfield literally, and then you're going to have stands on each side. I believe that's how they're going to do it.
Yeah, there's pictures online.
They're all
yeah, I go on Twitter or anything. It's the outfield is right. So there's the fence, and then beyond the fence is the cornfield.
Okay, gotcha. I was hoping they could go like run through corn and make diving catches in the corn. Teamus, are you going to be locked into this, even though the Red Sox aren't playing?
It seems probably not. Honestly, I'll probably
You're such a homer.
check a few innings out just because it's kind of a novelty thing and it doesn't interest me that much. I love the movie, but I don't know. I mean, it's not something that's really on my radar. Like I said, I'll probably check out a couple innings just to see what it's like them playing in a cornfield, things like that, because it is unique. But it's not something I've circled on my calendar or anything.
All right, so you're the one diehard baseball fan that won't be watching it, but the rest of us will, because this is really cool. Now, I do see a picture of it now. It's not what I was thinking it was going to be. I thought it was going to literally just be a cornfield behind them, but I guess they are going to have an actual wall. Well, I don't know. This right here doesn't look like it's much of a wall.
I think they have to have a wall. Imagine Eric Judge gets hurt running. I think there's a wall. There has to be a wall.
This picture here looks like there's a center field wall, but I'm not sure if there's a wall in right field and in left field. The only thing I keep thinking about, wouldn't this be funny? Do you remember years ago when the Yankees and Indians played in the playoffs and they had the bug situation? Yeah. I could see something like that coming out about not necessarily that specific thing, but someone going, "What the hell, man? Why didn't y'all know this was mating season for corn bugs or something like that?"
So I'm looking at tickets for that game right now. You want to guess how much the cheapest tickets available are?
Oh, there's not many people in the stands, so 1,000.
And $9.85.
Yeah, that's if you buy it on the actual website, right?
No, this is StubHub. This is
okay. I bet by game time it could be even higher. If it wasn't for COVID, I bet it'd be even more enormous. But COVID probably put the kibosh on a lot of people with a lot of money that don't want to take the risk of getting the funk. But right. It doesn't. Do you have a number in front of you as far as how many people are being seated? Because it only looks like a few hundred from the picture I'm seeing of this. If I'm looking at a real stadium, I don't know if this is just make believe or something. This is just. I think this is what it's going to look like. But I think that's. Is this even
8,000?
8,000. So that's nothing. I mean, realistically, I see a maze.
That's right field. It's the MLB logo.
Right. That's really cool. I wish I could share this right now, but the thing blocks me from being able to do it.
Like fans can go and in it.
That's actually really cool. There's a corn maze for y'all to know what I'm talking about. There's a corn maze in the outfield with the MLB logo, and I guess fans will be able to go through the maze. That's really cool. I mean, this is a neat thing. I hope they do this. I don't expect them to do it every year, but maybe every 5 years as the movie Field of Dreams like gets, goes from 25 to 30 to 35 years old. That's what I'm hoping they do.
The Winter Classic.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to do it every year.
They don't need to, but it's a cash cow. This is gonna make a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it definitely will. And the other cool thing is that now that they got the field, you can host other things with it too, right? So it doesn't all just have to be a Major League Baseball game. You could do so many different ball games there. Mm-hmm. I know Debbie Downer over here isn't excited about it, but it is going to be a fun thing there, Teamus.
I believe you. I mean, it's not my particular brand of vodka, but I'm not saying that it's bad. I think it's a novelty, and for what it is, I'm sure it's going to be great. It's not something I'm that into, and it's not just because the Red Sox aren't playing. I don't
exactly why it is. If it was the Boston Red Sox playing the LA Dodgers or something, we wouldn't be able to shut you up about it. Instead, you're over here just pouting because the Red Sox weren't invited. It's ridiculous, man.
That's a little excessive.
I want to see if they're going to put any like holograms of ghosts out there, like they did in the movie. What was the guy's name? Doc Graham. Is it Doc Graham going to make a? I would hope.
Moonlight Graham, right?
Yeah. Moonlight Graham, but they called him Doc Graham in Minnesota. I would hope that some of the actors that were in the movie will make it, but who knows how old they are, if they're still alive, and if they're, I think Kevin Costner would possibly be there, but who knows with COVID. But anyways, I do know that they're coming. So the 25th anniversary, I wrote an article for this for the magazine I was writing for at the time. That was around 5 or 6 years ago. So we're around the 30-year. I think the 30-year was supposed to be last year, or maybe it was the year before. But so there'll be a 35 and a 40-year anniversary coming within the next decade. So I would hope that they do it on those times too. Like I said, I don't think they'll do it every year, but with it being a cash cow, they might. And then when the Red Sox finally get to play in it, then it'll be the biggest thing. You won't be able to shut Teamus up. He'll have tattoos of it. All right, back to baseball. I think it's a cool thing that they're doing. I don't care who's playing in it. The Red Sox and the Rays square off this week. Teamus, don't you feel like you have to win 2 of 3 to even have a remote chance of winning this division at this point?
Yeah. We've backed ourselves into a corner now. The last time we were all talking, I said, the pressure's all on the Yankees. The Red Sox have put themselves in a position that's just not the case for us. Well, that is the case now. And we need
Erod and Erod
first 2 games.
Sorry, you've got Erod and Eovaldi going the next 2 days. Then Thursday, there's an outside chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Thursday we might see Chris Sale. What say you?
No, they're saying Saturday against the Orioles.
Well, that would make sense.
He's slotted for Saturday. Yeah, he's at a 4:00 game.
Okay.
Saturday.
They have not announced a starter yet, but that makes sense.
No.
They don't want him to get clubbed.
Please, God, don't let it be Garrett Richards. That's all I'm saying, because that guy will make you switch from beer to whiskey in like the 2nd inning.
Anyone who watched him in his days in Los Angeles knew that this is what you're getting. It's the same thing that Heaney's going to bring to the Yankees. He's just a guy to go out there to eat up a few innings, and then you just hope that your offense is on time that day. But I get why they wouldn't. Like from when he pitched last, he could pitch Thursday, but I get why they'd rather have him go up against the Orioles than to get clubbed by the Rays in his debut. They don't want to, get him feeling bad about himself the first time out.
No,
he hasn't pitched.
It's a confidence builder.
Yeah, because and by this coming Thursday, he will not have pitched in about a week. So he could definitely pitch Thursday. It'll be interesting to see if they decide what if the Rays win the first 2 games of the series. They got a chance to sweep, get within a game back. I don't know, man. Because you put any.
No, Alex Cora is not going to push it.
The Orioles are terrible.
Alex Cora is not going to.
All right, so you concede the division then.
No.
Dude, Erod has not been very impressive, to say the least, recently. And then Eovaldi, he's been okay, but he's going to have to be much better if the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs. It probably is going to be Garrett. Who pitched yesterday for you?
Yesterday, Garrett Richards.
Okay, so it won't be Garrett Richards. That it should.
Thank God.
It could possibly be whoever pitched for you Saturday or maybe Friday, depending on how they.
What's his name? Hernandez.
Or Perez. Give us some Perez. That guy's terrible. Yeah. Now the Yankees this week. You're saying 3-3? You would be fine with that? Is that because you're not expecting to do much against the White Sox?
I mean, we have a lot of players injured. We're going back to.
Well, yeah, everybody does though.
August. The Yankees had the most. The Yankees had the most on the IL this season.
Oh, that's just Yankees being Yankees, man. Go look at us. We're the most sick. We're the worst. We're the hurtest. No, you're not. Look at every team. My God, Glasnow's not going to come back for Tampa. Boston's had their injuries. Every team's had their injuries, and COVID has been rampant. I don't know what the Yankees are doing. I think they're making out in the locker room because it seems like every day somebody's getting COVID. But
you have
playing the White Sox, who have been decimated by injuries this year. It may not be the number, but you look at how many days their elites have missed. Eloy Jimenez, Robert or Robert. We're not sure. We've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
It's probably pronounced Jones.
I'd be happy with 3-3. I mean,
okay.
Even
though you're playing the Royals, wouldn't you expect to sweep the Royals? Excuse me.
It's tough to sweep. It's tough to sweep teams.
It is, but it's as bad as the Orioles have been. The Royals have been just as bad.
You have the 3 games at the Royals. I'll be happy with 2-1, and then as long as we don't get swept by the White Sox, because then what you have coming up is you have the Red Sox series. You have 3 games against the Red Sox, and 2 of those are those 7-inning games. So that's going to play a big part as well.
Now that's next week, right? That's early next week, I believe, in New York.
In New York, yep.
Okay. Is that a 5-game or 4-game series?
It's just a 3. There's 2 on one day, then 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Okay, so originally it was a 2-game series, and they're playing a doubleheader.
Correct, and then the Yankees have a makeup that Monday, 1 game versus the Angels.
That's
which is
weird, because I don't remember a lot of Yankee Red Sox series that are 2 games. So Tampa,
that's in New York, correct?
Correct.
So that'll be, I mean, 3 games is not necessarily going to decide it, but definitely one of those 2 teams, they can't get swept. You get swept and you're going to be in some trouble going down the stretch. Because at the end of that, we will literally be what it'll be like August 20th around the time that series ends.
Yeah, 19th is the following day.
Okay. So you're talking about 5 weeks maybe left in the season. That is, I mean, I guess my point is you can't dig yourself too much of a hole. Yankees and Red Sox, they do play in September, correct? Do you have that in front of you?
3-game series in Boston.
And is that like to end it all, or where does that fall?
September 24th to the 26th.
Okay, so the weekend before the last weekend. Gotcha. So that's going to be really big, and Boston's going to end with the Nationals. That's really, oh man, that I'll tell you what, as bad as I think Boston's playing right now, if they can survive and get to that final week of the season, You spend the week in the DC area playing the Orioles and the Nationals, who at this point are just, I mean, let's be honest, they're AAA teams, right? The Mets are not playing well at all. If you look at the Red Sox team that's in the month of September, if you can get to September 17th is the date I'm calling. If you can get to September 17th and you're in the race, no matter if you're leading by a game or two or losing by a game or two, I think there's a very good chance Boston's going to make the playoffs. Because listen to their stretch down the last half of the half month. Baltimore at home for 3, at home against the Mets, who are playing terrible right now, unless you face DeGrom that day, which I think they might shut him down if the Mets keep free falling. So you got Orioles and Mets for 5 games. Then you're at home against the Yankees, and then you're at the Orioles and at Washington. That's Cupcake City. Outside the Yankees, like, you should win you should win every one of those series, if not sweep some of them.
That would be ideal. We're going to have to play better than we're playing right now, which I think we're going to. I think we're going to come out of this fun. I don't think this is a continual thing for the rest of the season. I don't think I'm, maybe I'm just fingers, eyes, and toes are crossed that the free fall is over. But I think, everybody hits
critical. You've got a critical road trip at the end, right before the easy part starts. They're going to be in Chicago, in Seattle for 6 games. Those are 3 games apiece against teams that are fighting for the playoffs. If you can hold your head above water, getting out of that, because right before that, you play the Rays 6 times to end August and into early September. If you can get out of that road trip, I think you've got a very good chance of making the playoffs. But it's the weathering of the storm before that is what's going to hurt the most. As far as Tampa goes, I feel like Tampa needs to just not get swept in Boston. If we can win the series, that's great. But as long as we don't lose 3 in a row, that would be the one disaster that would concern the hell out of me. Timus, this week, how would you put the litmus of this was a good week? Because you're gonna host the Rays, but you're also gonna play the terrible Orioles. So how many wins would be to you a good week by next Monday when we're sitting here? And how many wins would you say, dude, this is what the hell's going on?
Well, it's going to have to be, we're going to have to win the majority. It can't be 3-3. 4-2 would be good, but 5-1, we've painted ourselves into a corner now, and I haven't hit the panic button yet, but it's in the mail that we now, because the Yankees have forgotten how to lose, and we never play the Rays well. Thank God this is in Boston, because the Trop sucks. And
by the way, fun fact for Yankees and Red Sox fans, while y'all are squaring off beginning of next week, the Rays are going to be hosting the Orioles for 4.
Correct.
And that's right after that's right after we play the Twins on a 3-game road trip. So literally,
yeah, we have to go 4-2. We have to go 4-2. If we don't, we're in real trouble. And 5-1 is what we need.
I think Tampa could
6-0 is what I want, but
Tampa could go 4-2 and lose the Red Sox series, because they're going to play 3 in Minnesota, and they have not been very well. Although it's really hard to sweep. I would be happy with 3-3 this week, because I think 500 baseball down the stretch is probably going to win the division now. Now that you got a 4-game cushion, I think 500 baseball will probably win the division. But you just got to make sure your losses aren't all to Boston. Then that changes everything. What is your walk-off for the day, Timus?
All right. My walk-off is I want to send out good vibes and a get well soon to Jerry Remy, the announcer for the Red Sox for 30 some odd years now. And this is his 5th bout with lung cancer. He's beat it 4 times. So
Jeez.
make it 5, Jerry. Good luck with you, buddy. God bless you.
Good Lord. He's got lung cancer again. God bless.
Yeah, he's out of the booth now where they're
I'm
saying.
assuming that he's done for the
hopefully
year.
I think so, but I'm not a doctor.
Although I do play.
But yeah, this is number 5. Yeah, I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night, so.
Yeah. What is your walk off for the day, Mr. Angelo?
No, just looking forward to seeing and hearing about more stories about Bobby Bowden and how he impacted people. Hope that everyone that is affected by it feels good grace for the upcoming week, and that there's a good turnout on Saturday for the public viewings, and hopefully we get to, especially for people that aren't there, we get to see some of it.
I brought this up on the wake up show this morning, but I'm going to say it again. Great line by Bowden, because he had so many, but he was doing a speech at Liberty University. So he was talking football, but realistically he was talking his faith. And he was saying how his wife was always on his ass about how he loved football more than her. He said, you know, she says it all the time. She says it all the time. He said, finally, I looked at her after she said, you know, you love football more than you love me. And he said, I looked at her and said, college or pro? I'm sorry. That's funny. I don't care who you are. All right. We'll go ahead and get out of here, and we'll see y'all next week. Hopefully by this time next week, we're going to be leading off a Red Sox Yankee series. It's going to be critical for both. And hopefully the Rays have like a 9-game lead in the division. So yeah, there's that. Bye, Teamus.
Bye, McGee. Step on a Lego. Jump off a bridge, please.
Oh no.
That's right, baby. Go Knowles. We will see y'all next week.